What's going on, guys? Welcome to another episode of you for Bleach, the Thousand Year Blood War. This is episode 31, and with me, as always, I have Blue Spade.
Yeah, well, things definitely start getting interesting. Uh, you know, pretty much throughout the entire episode. Well, of course, soon after Yuhaba decides to absorb the Soul King, I guess what happens is like uh I guess the resulting whatever he did, like he unleashed like a ton of like what are these like these parasite one-eyed looking black parasite things which descend upon the Soul Society and start overwhelming the Soul Reapers.
Yeah, I can't say I expected that to happen. Cause yeah, there's just this tide of these small creatures, these parasitic looking creatures that just like try to they consume everything. It's just like a tidal wave, essentially, just rolls all across the Soul Society.
Yeah, and just when all everyone was about to get overwhelmed by like these billions or trillions of just parasites just overwhelming them, Aizen arrives and then he uses his spiritual pressure to just like keep them every single one of those things at bay. Which
Yeah,
which to the surprise with everybody else, they're obvious for obvious reasons. They're not happy to see Aizen, regardless if he's his spiritual pressure ended up saving them at the last second.
yeah, we get a lot of Aizen in this episode, and I was really like looking forward to that because we haven't seen Aizen in a long time,
Yeah,
but he is the whole time strapped to this chair, and he even complains at one point, like is asking if he could be let out of the chair, but if the chair is basically, I guess, sort of restraining his spiritual pressure, and if he's let out of the chair, there's, I guess, no telling what he could do. But even like when he was locked away, I guess in the Mukin, he'd still been sort of like, I guess, trying to further develop some of his techniques. I guess they comment on that at one point. Um,
yeah,
because
yeah.
like as we know, he still does have the Hogyoku inside him.
Mhm.
So he still is like pretty formidable, even though he's been locked away for so long.
Yeah. So, like I mentioned before, everybody else, especially Rukia and Renji, they're not happy with with Aizen being let loose, and of course, they take it out on Shunsui for letting him out in the first place. But Shunsui retorts that that like pretty much like what do you think it's really going to take to to combat an enemy this powerful? Like like it's just
He
obviously
basically says that I guess subscribes to the idea of using the one evil to destroy another or something like that.
yeah,
Uh,
he mentions that honor is meaningless when the stakes are this high
yeah,
at a time like this. So suddenly, Aizen is attacked by one of the Stern Ritters, and then we see like all the other Stern Ritters, surviving Stern Ritters. I think Basby, Little Toto, Giselle. I think a couple others maybe. I think one of the other Bambis. Um,
mm,
I think one of them wants is trying. One of them, of course, all of a sudden gets shot by Basby, killing him, and then Basby, out of nowhere, unexpectedly, decides he wants to work with the Soul Reapers alongside with, with the other Stern Ritters.
I
Saying,
I wouldn't say it's out of nowhere. I mean, considering what happened at the end of part two.
oh yeah, yeah,
Yeah, I mean, I wasn't surprised when Basby decided to stab him in the back. Uh, I kind of figured he would at least temporarily join up with the Shinigami to try to get his revenge against Yuhapa.
yeah. And so Shunsui agrees, and then he contacts all the surviving Soul Reapers to come all into the same location where they can combine all of their spiritual pressure together, so they can, I guess, in a way, fuel Urahara's gate to lead them directly to the Soul Palace. And all the other characters, including the Visors, arrive to help out. yeah, I guess to help them out. Uh, I guess in preparation for the gate. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, I forgot one of the visors' name. It's just like the little blonde girl.
Hiyori.
Yeah, Hiyori.
Yeah.
So she brings in.
Yeah, she has this material she brings with her that I guess she had gotten from back from the world of the living to help create the gate.
Mhm. Yeah, and yeah, it's the same material that partially lately. Yoruichi, like she had the same material as well. Um, so like pretty much everybody like Rukia, Renji, Byakuya, and everybody else alongside Aizen depart to the Soul Palace. So we go back to the Soul Palace where, of course, uh, obviously predictably, Orihime ends up healing Ichigo's wounds from the last episode. But it's also thanks to Kon who ends up saving Ichigo, from falling from the Soul Palace.
Yeah, and unfortunately, like I did see some images from this episode on Twitter, and there was a certain character that I was hoping was going to show up earlier on in the episode, but of course they saved him for like the very end of the episode, so it's a cliffhanger, and of course it is Grimjow, because the way he appears is, we of course see the portal he goes through, which is the same one that all the all the Arrancar use. So he finally shows up, and of course, it was already implied that Grimjow was it like kind of helping them out, at least somewhat in part one. We could see him for a second.
Yeah, I mean, pretty much sort of off camera at
Yeah,
times, but this is his actual full on camera return into the series since the end of the original series.
yeah, it's funny because it feels like in this arc there's just kind of the theme of like, like the enemy of my enemy is my friend in a way, because that, of course now we got the guy who was the main antagonist throughout most of the series, Aizen, helping them out, at least temporarily, and then we have Grimjow helping out too, because of course because they're basically trying to wipe out the Arrancar as well. So I mean, of course, they kind of, it's mostly because they share a common enemy essentially. But
Yeah.
it's still funny to see them, after what we've seen from the original series, to see them work, actually work together in the final arc.
Yeah, it's pretty much all hands on deck now.
Yeah,
Yeah, and I know, yeah, I'm kind of glad that they're bringing back Grimjow back into the show because, like, obviously, like, he never really technically died, during the Arankar arc, near the end of the original series. So I'm glad they brought him back, and it's gonna be interesting now that Aizen's being thrown into the fold.
yeah. Um, yeah, I mean, I don't really know much about like what happens with Aizen joining up with them in the manga, so I'm really interested to see how he interacts with certain characters considering their past. Especially when Ichigo finds out that they had to bring Aizen out of the Mukin. Um,
Yeah, I really think that he's somehow gonna get out of that chair,
yeah,
one way or another.
he'll
So
find a way. I mean, Aizen's pretty much, probably, knowing his character, he's just biding his time to find an opportunity to turn things around or to get out of the chair. But he still probably does share a common enemy with him trying to defeat Yuhoba. So there's still that. I still think even if he were to get free, he wouldn't just immediately like betray everybody. I think he'd most likely he would still fight alongside them, at least until they get rid of Yuhoba.
yeah.
So yeah. But yeah, this was another great episode. I mean, especially since now we finally get to see Aizen after so many years. I mean, we've seen him before, but this is the first time we actually see him in action again. And he uses some of the Hados, and it just shows like how powerful he is, even though his power is technically being restrained to some extent.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's yeah, it's gonna be interesting, but yeah, it's still we've still yet to see the best of what Aizen has to offer. And obviously, like, with him still bound to that chair, he's still limited to what he can do. But like I mentioned before, like he is gonna get out of that chair one way or another.
Yeah, I mean, it would be pretty ridiculous if he stayed just strapped to that chair throughout the whole arc. I mean, it would be kind of funny, but I can't imagine him just being stuck in that chair the whole
Mhm.
time.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't really have much else to say about the episode, though. I don't know if you have anything else to say about it.
Yeah. I mean, we're pretty much getting like a lot of the Soul Reapers coming up to the Soul Palace to confront Yuhaba and the rest, the rest of his his top Stern Ritters up at the palace. So we'll have to see
Well,
where this goes.
as we see as well from I guess there's a post credit scene that Yuhaba has now fully obtained the power
Oh
of
yeah.
of the Soul King. So now he's fully absorbed the power of the Soul King, which I think is called the Almighty.
Hmm.
So yeah, he's now even more powerful than he already was. So I don't know. Like, I mean, I guess really they are going to need everybody to try to fight
Hmm.
him. I mean, so it's him and the Stern Ritter. Um, so yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how things play out.
Hmm.
But yeah, I guess yeah. That all being said, guys, until next time, we will see you all later.